All right, welcome back to the Revamp Podcast. Today, super excited to have Sean Sun with us. And we're going to get into some stuff, man. Real estate investor, businessman. And I want to go back to the beginning of your story, man. Like, where did this all begin for you?
Yeah, hey, Drew, first of all, thank you for having me. The space, it's freaking awesome. Am I allowed to curse?
Yeah, you are totally allowed to.
Okay,
I probably will many times.
I don't really curse like publicly and stuff like that, but I always tell, Leo and stuff. I was like, man, Leo's my assistant, by the way. I always tell, I was like, I need an outlet to just fucking let it out. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
There it is. Let's go.
But nah, man, the space is fucking amazing. I love it. I brought my assistant with me because right now I just onboarded him.
I love it.
So we're working out of my garage. If you ever seen like the Google or was it like Amazon kind of old school where they started out?
Yep.
I'm in that same space, right out of the garage, hardcore. And I wasn't gonna bring him initially, but then as I was kind of like just thinking about your space, I was like, you know what? I think it's good for him to be immersed in this environment.
100%.
Because this is essentially where I see us going, So yeah, I mean, going back into my story, 8 years later, here we are, So
8 years.
I got into real estate at the age of 30,
Okay.
And I share this story with the thought that, going into your 20s, you make a choice. You either gonna party, focus on career or family, but at some point we all go through this feeling where we look at our peers, friends, family, coworkers, where they will make a transition into career life, family life,
Yep.
And if you're not in one of those transitions, you sit there and like, what am I doing? Where am I going? What am I want for myself? And I guess at that age of 30, I already made a decision for family, right? But I didn't have no goddamn funds whatsoever. Paycheck to paycheck. I was working retail sales. So like I was doing footwear, if you know Kicks USA, which is now Snipes USA, Snipes.
Yep.
Kind of like a Foot Locker setup. If you guys know Foot Locker, sneaker store, streetwear. I was doing that for about a little over a decade. And paycheck to paycheck, I just got tired of it. I started to feel like Al Bundy, like instead of doing women's shoes, I was doing like, street apparel. And I was like, I should have did women's shoes. That would have been at least a little bit enjoyable. I was like, he's doing it right. But I was like, I just got tired of that story for myself. And I kept it simple. I said, right before I turned 30, I said, I want to make more money. Right. And I said, I said, I need to do something completely different to get a completely different result. And before I tried doing different things, but the different things were get a different job, go to another company that would pay more. But in sense, it was the same exact thing, doing retail, right? So I was like, I need to do something completely different. And then one night my birthday's in July, somewhere in April or March, I had a real conversation with God, the universe, whoever you guys think is the higher being. I just sat there and I said, I need an opportunity. Like, I really need an opportunity. And then like, it was a real conversation. Like, I give you opportunities all the time. You're right, you do. I never was paying attention. I'm paying attention now. Whatever it is, I won't ignore it, right? So then I think we all know Hone Houdini Ty.
Yep.
Escape Your 9 to 5. Years ago, he just kept pushing this, come to my meeting. And then, it was like the first thing that popped up and I was like, I do it.
This is my sign.
I didn't even
This is my sign.
It wasn't like I had a list of real estate, this, car sale. I didn't have none of that. It was just like opportunity. All right.
There it is.
Hey, where's this meeting at? And then he was like, oh, it's this time, this day. And I was like, dang, I get out of work at 6 o'clock, drive an hour to Langhorne. And I'm like, man, fuck this. I can't do it. I'm tired. An hour drive, gotta get home to the kids. And then just something like whispered to me, like, see, you see what I mean? And I'm like, I'm going. I'm going. I'm going. I just heard something saying like, hey, you told me I did it and look at how you're acting. So I said, you know what? Yeah, you're fucking right. Let me just go. So I went, changed my life. They pitched wholesaling at the meeting, like how a lot of these, clubs do. But they also pitch fix and flips, holds. For me, wholesaling resonated with me because if you have no credit, no
Yep.
money,
It's a
a lot of
great way to get
time,
in.
it's a great way. And I fit all of those bullet points, you know? So me and Hone, just some background, he's known me since like high school days. So quite some time. Um, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think he thought much of me. You know what I mean? I'll be honest, because well, he did. I'm serious. I don't think he thought I was gonna make it, just as many others didn't. Reason being is, and I don't judge. I actually agree with them because I had the long hair, you know, my cat forward, brim down, because I didn't want people to see me. I wanted to see them, but I didn't want
Mm,
people to see me. I wasn't as radiant back then.
wow.
You know, I was really sheltered because I wasn't confident. I didn't feel like a good man, a good provider. You know, so I wanted to see others, but I didn't want them to see me. So I don't doubt that they didn't think I could make it. So first thing at the meeting, him knowing my story, paycheck to paycheck, struggling, he calls me out. You know, he's doing the presentation like, Sean, you're living paycheck to paycheck, right? And immediately my body just gets so hot. Like, what the fuck? Like, why would you throw me out there like that? But then I like to say an angel was with me, calm me down and said, Sean, if this is why you're fucking here. That is the
That's
truth.
true.
Well, it's the truth. Sit with it. It was like, don't be mad at him, be mad at yourself.
Mm,
You know what I mean? So immediately I said, in a flash, I said, I am. I just owned it. I said, I am. I'm struggling. You know, I am living paycheck to paycheck. I would like to change my life. That's why I'm here. You know, threw me out there to a full room of everybody. And I'm glad he did because there were other people that resonated with that story. And later down the road ended up helping me. They said, Sean, I remember you from that meeting. You remind me of myself. I want to help you.
I
And then
love
here
that,
we are.
dude.
So it's just
Yup.
like, I tell everybody, own up to your shit,
Dude.
you know, because you don't
And it's
know.
hard. It's really
It, re-
hard to do, you know? You
it
got to
really is
swallow your
hard.
pride. And
Yeah.
we all have ego, no matter who you are, no matter where you're at in life. Everybody has ego. So to put that
Yeah.
aside, it's not always easy,
You
man.
know, I get goosebumps. I could cry about it today because it's not, to me, it's not that far long ago where I can still feel the emotions, you know, to practice that humility for the first time publicly. But I'm glad I did
Yeah.
because it made me take control of my life then. I think that was a turning point. Like, you know what? Yeah, I do have a problem, financial problem. That's why I'm here. I need all of you guys to help me. And I
Yeah.
expressed that openly from that day going forward. I signed up for the education. You know, you had to buy up education to be on the same page with everybody. I think they had packages of 2,000, 8,000, and 20,000, right? So then there was another moment that night that changed my life where I went up to Hone. He's like, what do you think? I was like, I think I like it. I'm gonna do it. He's like, well, what are you gonna start with? And I said, egotistically, 2000, obviously. And then he said, that's not obvious, Sean. He's like, that's not obvious to me. I don't know, you know, where other people are at, and I'm not here to judge or nothing like that. But 2000 may be good for you. For me, I started at 20 grand. And I was like, what? You know, and it was just like, I guess the first time I was experiencing mindset growth, wanting self growth, you know, working on yourself.
Yep.
And it started to open my mind. Like, man, I would start to look at people. I was like, man, I really, I don't know why I made the assumption that everybody's broke like me. And that wasn't the case. I was like, you know what? I'm around real investors. You know, everybody here is an investor.
Yep.
That's where my gullibleness. I was like, everybody had money from that point on, and they were an investor to me. So I was like, oh shit, I'm in it. You know,
I'm in. Yeah.
I'm in it. So
Which again is your ego talking to you, but there's productive ways that your ego talks
yes,
to you and unproductive ways.
and that's been, I feel like, my journey. It's just me and myself. Every day being better, right? So every day from that point forward, I went home and I said, it looked in the mirror every day, brush teeth, go to sleep. You're an investor. And I said, why aren't I? I'm putting in the action. I'm trying to get a lead. I'm calling sellers. I like, just because I didn't make a result doesn't mean I'm not it.
Yep.
I said, if I want to play basketball and I go shoot hoops, aren't I a basketball player in that moment?
Absolutely.
I was like, I'm an investor. And I just
you just
hypnotized
made that
myself.
decision.
I made it. I'm an
Yep.
investor. I'm every day. And on like the 30th day of joining the club, people like the leaders from the club just came back from this I guess vacation, like the ones that did stuff and went on like the all inclusive with the bigger club and stuff like that. what made it believable to me, they went to Cancun, Riviera Maya, and they stayed at a resort that I was at the previous year. And I was like,
Hmm.
oh shit, that's real. I was there. You know, a
Yeah,
lot of times you
yeah.
see shit on internet or TV, like, hey, come all inclusive. I hit this top tier gold club member and they rewarded me, you know, and it's just like, man, what's the detail to it, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
But then
yeah.
just like seeing them share the pictures and then physically being here week after week after week, the people started to become real. Like that's how
Yeah.
gullible I was as a 20-year-old human in general. You know, like I was like, oh shit, you're real.
Mhm.
I'm seeing you every week. You're real. You have real projects. Can
Yep.
I visit them? Like I was a kid in a candy store with everybody. You said your door was open. I'm coming. I'm coming. Like you said, you really mean that.
I
I'm
love that.
calling. Like everybody who said every day I would hit them up. What are you doing? You have anything I could shadow you? I was just so excited to be able to step into people's world.
Real estate pros. If you are a licensed agent or you're thinking about getting your license to become a real estate agent, listen up because this is for you. Imagine being a part of a brokerage that focuses and specializes on investment real estate. Most brokerages out there focus heavily on the retail residential side of real estate, but we just launched a partnership with an investor focused real estate brokerage that is going to help you take your personal real estate investing or your clients' real estate investing careers to the next level. To find out more and see if this is the right fit for you, head over to revamp365.ai/brokerage. Don't settle for just any brokerage. Go with one that is designed with you and your investing goals in mind. Head on over to revamp365.ai/brokerage.
You know.
Yep.
But then I always had the intention to learn what they did wrong. I was like, it's easy to know what is right, you know, flip a house, sell it to a buyer, you make money.
Yep.
Hold, rent it out, you make cash flow. But it's just like I always had that mindset. It's like, where'd you go wrong? What did you
Yeah.
do wrong? You know, how'd you lose this? What went south? You know, so I could avoid a lot of that.
The
You know?
ability to learn from other people's mistakes is massive. And I think
Yeah.
way too many people overlook that. To your
Yeah.
point,
And-
it's easy to look at what somebody did good, but if you can
Yeah.
shortcut or at least minimize the risk and the downside on things by looking at
Yeah.
what somebody else did that you know, look up to and respect, what they did that didn't go well for them.
Yeah. And for me, like, for me, when I hear somebody able to have pure humility and share their failures
Mhm.
or lessons, it's like a symphony. Like it becomes a symphony where I'm just sitting like, you know, okay, don't do this, do this. Like I'm putting myself in that shoe and just I see the conversation, you know, and it just gives me, it saves me so much time to
Absolutely.
avoid
And the
that.
other side to that is most people don't share the bad stuff
Mhm.
anyway. So it's like you have to have strong relationships or be in a group that kind of facilitates that, like, hey, dude, share your fucking war stories
Yep.
too. Because most people hold that close to their chest because that's their ego saying, oh, well, you know, now the people that follow me on social media, they're going to think that I'm not as good as,
Right.
you know, I used to be, or, you
And
know,
I feel like there
I'm
was
not
a
invincible.
big boom when I started 30s of these clubs and stuff. That was 8 years ago, right? So 2017, it was this big boom of clubs popping up and educations and subscriptions and stuff like that. And I realized a lot of them don't have that space to have humility because of marketing themselves and
Yep.
all that stuff. So
Yep.
for me, I took it seriously when somebody would share something like that, right? So
That's right.
fast forward, they came back from this trip. They said, "Hey, there's a 90-day challenge in the club." The club was called Renatus, you know, if you heard of it. And they said you should be able to lock up a contract in 90 days. And then I was like, "Get out!"
And this was already a couple months into you
This was
being a
30
part of
days in.
30
So
days in.
30
Okay.
days, I heard this. I was like, 90 days locked up a contract. I was like, and everybody's like, "Yeah, yo, you could do that. You could do it." I was like, man, if they're saying this is doable, I accept. I just, you know,
I'm in.
my jolly ass was like, I'll do it.
Yeah, I'm in.
Let me do it. I'm in. And I really took it seriously. I was like 60 days left. On the 60th day, locked up a contract. I was like, oh shit. On the 90th day, sold it and made my first 10 grand.
Nice.
And it changed my life forever.
Nice.
It changed my life forever. That 10K really showed me. I was like, oh man, it's
real.
real. It
It's
really
real.
is real, you know? And just to give a little transparency, I found it on Craigslist, you
Okay.
know? He had a house, the house he listed. We didn't work on that one. I didn't lock it up. He had another one, locked that up. My mentor, who I call my rich dad today, his name is Jason Centeno, retired in Tampa, Florida. I miss him. I love him, but he was one of the first ones that took me in. And he's not like, if you guys read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, for those that didn't read it, it's not about actually being rich. I had a poor dad who instilled in me exactly like go to school. Like I had a baby at the age of 19. So that automatically crushed his dreams of me graduating college and shit. So he kind of disowned me since, didn't help me with anything. And then when I met Jason Centeno, I appointed him my rich dad, like 2-3 years later, because he just was always instilling me entrepreneurship, building myself up, self growth, mental work, taking me in, picking up the phone. And then it was just something I've always looked for, and he was the one that found the buyer. So immediately I'm thinking like, yeah, 10K. And he was like, all right, cool. 5K for you, 5K for you. I was like, what? I'm like, I get it. I get it. You know what? And then again, I just sat with myself and I said, you know what? That's fair.
Yeah.
I found the deal, locked it up. You found the buyer. But what I liked about him was that he knew I was new. So he would coach me through talking to the buyer and he would say, do you want to do it? I was like, hell yeah, let me do it. And we would just practice back and forth and he would say, go do it. You know what I mean? So he could have did it, but he allowed me to make the mistakes and learn from it, which I
That's
did.
huge.
Which I did make the mistake, but I like that. And I didn't know he did this then, but he prepped the buyer for me being new,
Okay.
And I really enjoyed that, and it gave me a lot of confidence going forward because after that, we done, I don't know, a lot of wholesales together, So it was just like one of the best relationships I could have ever had in the beginning. Hone, Jason, like I always say this to Leo, everybody, I was like, man, I've been blessed along the way with some really good mentors. And I was like, why is that? And I always ask, like, God, I was like, you're really killing me. You know what I mean? Like, you're killing it for me, blessing me with all these people.
Yeah.
And I guess it's just me always having a lot of humility, like always being very radiant, and knowing that there's so much more to learn, And yeah, fast forward to today, it's just been one hell of a journey. Today I have David Tran and Nick Tang as like my direct upline to work with. Um, I like to think that there was a time where David Tran brought me to see Carrie Fakes and Steve Lloyd,
Okay.
And Steve, I hope you're listening because there was a moment me and him had where, I made good money in wholesaling, like enough to have changed my life. I moved out of the hood and stuff like that. And I would say I was a little content, comfortable. And he's like, Sean, why ain't you this and that? And then blah, blah, blah. And then like, we was just kind of like, yo, Steve, why the fuck you on my back? You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Like, and then there was a moment when we were eating, he got up, walked away to catch a breather. And I didn't realize this. My team told me after like that, I frustrated him. But then there was a moment where I was sharing with him about me being really active in my community, my Cambodian community. And I'll be honest, I don't like my community. I don't like my people like that. When I made money,
Okay.
like when I made money, I look back, I was like, I don't really like my people.
Really?
And then
why?
The mentality that we have.
Yeah.
As
what specifically?
As Cambodian, I feel like let's run down the list of the Asian culture, and guys, comment, correct, curse me out. I don't give a shit. This is just my opinion and thought.
Your opinion. You're allowed to have
mean, just
that.
from the perspective, you tell me if I'm wrong, right? So Chinese culture, Chinatown, Chinese people, from my perspective, they help each other wholeheartedly outside the family. It doesn't matter. They help each other, but they also been here since the 1800s doing real. They had a nice head start, right? Next, I would say. I would say Koreans is on the top of the list, but I never dealt with Koreans like that. So I'm not going to speak on that, but I would say they're on the top of the list anyway. Next, I would say is Vietnamese. Chinese, Vietnamese cross paths at some points, they intertwine well. So Vietnamese has like Vietnamese plazas, you see pho plazas everywhere.
Yep.
Vietnamese, I would like to think, is good at helping within the family. Not necessarily like help other families, like, you know what I mean? But within the family, they're good. Cousins, aunts, they're good, you
They're
know?
tight.
They're tight.
Got it.
Cambodians and Laos, I would say a lot of us are still fighting within the family, you
Hmm.
know? But I got understanding that, hey, let's be real. Our culture didn't come here until like the 60s, 70s. And we only came here because of the war, the Pol Pot regime of him killing almost 50% of our people.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So we had to flee. So it makes me think, I was like, dang, if that had not happened, our people wouldn't be in America the way we are today. A lot of us would still be over there. You know what I mean? But because we've only been established since 60s, 70s, we're still actually figuring it
Trying
out.
to figure it out. Yeah.
And then our
That makes
parents,
sense.
you know, when they got here, they had so much trauma, never talk about it.
Mm,
And I think that's a key thing, is because they never talked about it, they never got past that trauma.
that makes
A
sense.
lot of problems amongst our parents, you know. I would say kids growing up, we think parents got it all figured out. Us being parents now, we don't,
Yeah.
you know.
No.
And I realized that our parents had so much trauma coming to a new country, trying to figure it out, trying to keep the family together, no communication. You know, it was just a lot going on that we're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
You know,
Got it.
even my own family, like when I had my kids, my parents didn't really help. My sisters weren't really present. And it's because of the culture within, you know, in the Cambodian people.
So
You know what I
what
mean?
would, like, traditionally, if you were to kind of follow the cultural uh norm, if you will, like, what would that have looked like?
Well, I had this conversation with somebody. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know because I don't know what it'd been like if we had not come here, or if our parents didn't have trauma or not.
I
Well,
mean, like, in general, like, what would your parents rather you have done? Go to
oh yeah,
college,
yeah,
get married, have kids at
the
40,
old
or
programmed way.
okay, okay.
The original, go to school, get your degree, get a good job.
Got it.
That old traditional way, you know, what we're programmed, you know. And I had a conversation with somebody. I said, you know, it takes somebody strong in the family to say, hey guys, enough is enough. Let's educate ourselves. Let's be better. You know, and all of the Cambodian people that I've come across that are successful, that got out, that got money, never went back. And
Really?
prior to that, I always wondered why. I was like, damn, they're good. Why don't they come back? Until I got out, and I was like, I
Mm,
understand why. Because you try and try and try, and they don't give a fuck.
man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
it's
many
tough.
times I went back to my community to give them the wholesaling, the real estate opportunity, show them my checks, you know? And it's just like, they're still in their monkey mind, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
They're still thinking materialistic mindset, you
You know,
know?
that's probably not just like a cultural thing though, because I've had that same
Yeah,
experience with many different people of many different backgrounds.
yeah,
And it's like when you have somebody that you're close to and you see them getting in their own way in some way, shape, or form, and you're like, dude, I see a way out for you. Try this
right,
wholesaling or buy a rental property. Like, if it's a financial issue, like, let me show you
right,
some of the things I've figured out. But I've found most of the time when you try to go to somebody to help them, it doesn't work. They
right.
have to want to come to you and be seeking,
Yep.
hey, what kind of wisdom can you share with me?
I think
It's frustrating.
Leo is a good example of that because you know, what I didn't share was after I made my first 10K, 30 days later, I got fired from work.
Mm.
And I was like, what the? I was like, you did this. I was like, God, you did this for me. Thank you. You know what I mean? Like, I took it as a blessing. It happens for you. You know what I mean? I was like, the only struggle was, how do I tell my family this? You know, because I'm with my girlfriend, then wife now. We have a kid together. I'm living with her family. You know, I think about this, like, I'm sure her family is very concerned.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so I was like,
How
how
could they
do
not?
I calm this water of me not having a job now? You know, I was like, if I was in their shoes, I'd freak out too for somebody I loved.
Yeah.
So my rich dad, Jason Centeno, helped me through it. He said, Sean, this is how we're going to talk to them. You know, a job is always, this is why I say, I hope it helps somebody. A job is always going, I said this to Leo. I said, a job is always going to fucking be there. Right. I didn't curse at my wife, by the way, but I was like, a job is always going to be there,
Maybe just
babe.
your parents.
Right. Right. A job is always going to be there, babe. I was like, I just got fired. I made 10K. I would like the opportunity to see what I'm made of.
Mm.
Luckily, again, timing. My son was 4. Next year, he would have been 5. She says, next year, he starts school, kindergarten. You have 1 year. And That's all
That's
I needed. I
huge.
only needed that from her, right? What I did with her family, I had a different conversation. After I had that okay with her, I went to her family because still, I think it's important to address it with everybody. My warm market, you know? So I went to all of the family members and I said to them, I said, hey guys, I just lost my job. You know, I was like, I want to let you guys know that if you're concerned for your cousin, your sister, your daughter, whatever, you know, whoever I was talking to, I said, don't worry. I was like, I want to let you know I'm not against getting another job. First off, let's make that clear. I said, if I do get another job, I want it to be correlate with something I really want to do, real estate. I said, if you come across anything pertaining to that, let me know. I'm open for it. Raking the leaves, mowing the lawn, anything that could put me inside somebody's real estate realm. Ask the tenant how much they're paying in rent. Ask the seller how much they bought. I'll do it. Think of me for that.
Yep.
And because I did that, right? One of her cousins, like a week later, hey, my mother-in-law trying to sell 3 of her houses. Get out of here. Yeah. After that, it made like 30K. That's
No
a month
way.
later. And I was like,
No
yo, couldn't believe it. And I was like, I made the right choice.
That's wild, man.
Right. So like, if you can imagine my belief of this working, even skyrocketed.
Well, and that's the thing. You already had to have such a belief in yourself
Yep.
at that point to have not just one potentially difficult conversation, but to have multiple, right?
Yep.
And to have that belief even going into that conversation, you know, something that you kind of mentioned earlier, like the fake it till you make it or whatever. It's like, I think that's bullshit. It's
Yeah.
not fake it till you make it. It's believe it now and it becomes real now.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like you got to know it's happening for you already, or else you're always going to be in doubt.
Yeah.
And you know, like them little memes, them little sayings, so simple but so powerful. But if you know how to understand and address it and use it to your advantage, you know, the universe responds. God responds in ways you don't even. It's just belief.
Yep.
You know, I always say to everybody, sellers too. I was like, you know, negotiate. I was like, if you can think of a circle, right? The rim of it is all the physical shit that we could touch. You know what I mean? I was like, but nobody talks about the middle stuff that you can't see. Like your morals and stuff. We can't see morals floating in the air. Your belief. I was like, but it runs you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you can't say it's not real.
That's right.
Right? And then they're like, I never thought of it that way. I was like, right, it's real. So channel in with me here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that belief, I only had one person to rely on. And I always say you only need one, you know, that believes in you. And that was my rich dad, Jason Centeno. Like anytime I was down, hey, Pa, what do you think about? You know what I mean? I was just thinking about this. Like, oh, don't worry about it. Like, he would give me the realistic. And that's why I try to tell people, like, if you think you know everything, you fucking don't.
Yeah.
It's so much in mindset and real estate, like in anything you can think of. There's no way to know everything. There's always things that you don't know, you know?
100%, man.
Always sitting in conversation with myself and never backing down. I was I'm not going back to the 9-to-5 world. Fuck that. I was like, and I always said there was something in me that always felt more special than being programmed in that way. I was like, I'm supposed to do something, you know? So even today, like I'm gonna be honest, I still am disgusted by my people sometimes. Like I feel like we can be better. And I say publicly, you know, where like if it ain't Hennessy, partying, karaokeing, drugs, we don't care to be in it. We don't care to go to meetings to better ourselves.
Yep.
We don't care to how we can make more money we don't educate and stuff like that, right? And I always say that, but I learned that for me to talk to my people, best thing to do is focus on myself. Continue to fucking get it. And I said, you know what? My people are so materialistic. They want to say, I was like, you know what? I made a conscious decision last year. I was like, you know, I'm gonna fucking get it. You know what I mean? That's why you see, you know what I mean? I like, they want to see something because I don't, if you really go through my page, I don't show money and flash and like this because I don't give a shit about none of that.
Yeah.
I like what I really enjoy is my kids. You know, and I say it to like, if I could be a full-time father, if my wife was making millions, I'd retire. You know, like, let me be a stay-at-home dad. I really enjoy the fatherhood. And I like, that's what I really use my money for, is to fund fatherhood. You know, and people were like, what will you do with your money? Exactly that. I was like, in 1 year, because I made money, in 1 year, I ran through like 8 cars.
Okay.
You know, like build, sell, to the point where it's out of my system that I was like, man, a car is just a car now.
Yeah.
It just, you making conscious decision if you want a little bit of luxuriate feel.
Yep.
You know what I mean? A to B. I was like, but for me, I was like, I don't even like to drive. I want to be chauffeur. You know what I mean? Like, I have Leo, here's my keys, drive everywhere.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you gotta be
like,
looking at Bentleys then,
I'm
man.
in here
Sit
like
in the back.
this. You know, I was like, give me the space to connect.
Yep.
So
Yep.
now with my people, it's just I connect with the leaders. You know, the leaders that are moving and shaking, and the ones that the people will listen to. The one where when there's problems, they'll go run to them. I said, let me just connect with them. You know, so any chance I get, I donate to them. You know, if
I
they're
love it.
throwing some type of, like, I think they just had the boat festival at FDR,
Yeah.
right? Donated to that cause. I think my tribe with Good Vibes is a sponsor on there, you know.
Nice.
So
Nice.
any chance I can give value to them, I do it. Because, you know, nothing against them, but I know that they are in the 9-to-5 field with / of entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
But I know that if you don't have the space to work on self-growth, it kind of never happens.
100%.
It happens when something happens to you, is when you'll sit there and think about it, right?
Absolutely.
So I stay connected to them to give them that, you know, that.
So
mental
what was
growth.
that like moment for you? I know you said that you were 30, you already had a kid and everything, and you were working retail at the sneaker place, but like, was there a single moment for you where you were just like, dude, no more? Or was it more of like an accumulation of just over the years being tight on money, like waiting for that next
All of
paycheck?
that.
Like,
It was all of the above, where I was just like, man, my tolerance level cracked. I was so fed up where like it was affecting my relationship. I think my relationship was the key point because I was taking my wife as a joke, you know? And
what do you mean by that?
And I mean, she gave me 10 years to get my shit together, right? At year 7, David Tran came up to me and was like, Sean, when 10-year hits, do you think it'll be a joke then? You think she said, if you don't marry me and, you know, get things together, I'm leaving you. She wants better. You know, and it may sound like other people like, damn, she want better. I was like, ain't nothing wrong with that, guys. Like women, men, everybody, ain't nothing wrong with wanting better, a better life. And I never knock that, you know, especially if they're giving you fucking 10 years to get your shit together.
Well, and it sounds like she's been incredibly supportive of you as well. Like
super supportive.
And what you made a comment earlier about having one person that you could rely on, your mentor, which that's not true because you also had your wife or your girlfriend.
She was more of the tough cookie, you know.
That's
the tough
okay
love,
though.
right?
That's another person in your corner, you know. Like
and I guess the way I am, like I needed that too because I will prove somebody to fuck wrong.
Man,
my ex, I have a baby with her, right? At the age of 19, she left me, for a friend, you know, and it was just like, hey, she gave me a fire to say, hey, I'm gonna fucking do amazing in life. You know what I mean? And hope that you miss out.
That's huge,
right? I mean, that was at some point the fire, but that's not even the fire burning no more.
Of
It's
course.
like I've been achieved that shit.
Well, the fire changes through
It
the
changes
years
a lot.
But
so having her, like my wife, gave me the space, but she also was always lighting that fire. You know, like if you guys know her, she curses me the fuck out. Like she's a gangster. My wife is from Southwest, right off of Woodland Ave. Grew up there, raised. She's a gangster, and I had like I'm a sweetheart. You know what I mean? So you guys can imagine, like she can make me cry. Goddamn it, I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? But I needed her. I needed her, like I needed that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That doubtfulness, because I knew it was doubtfulness, but at the same time, she was always. If I woke up, she's still there. You could talk so much shit. She said, my action speaks for me. You know? So she gave me 10 years. David Tran gave me this scenario. He was like, Sean, when 10 years hit, do you think she's going to be fucking playing? Sit with that. You could take it as a joke. I was like, I'm just asking. He's like, Sean, you could take it as a joke. But if 10 years was tomorrow, how do you think she would act? And in my head, I'm like, come on, she ain't leaving. She ain't leaving me. Stop it. And then like, 2-3 days went by, and then just that question sat, and like the scenario I played different, like Doctor Strange, different scenarios. I played so many scenarios, and I played the scenario where she's like, yeah, 10 years, I'm done with you. I played it over and over. I'm like, and sat in that feeling like, what do you mean? And what I would say, what do you mean? Like, but we have a kid together. I gave you 10 years. You think I'm playing? And I was like, man, I felt it, like it really happened. that when I snapped back, I was like, I can't fucking let that happen.
Can't have that.
I was like, that was a real thing for me. And it's just like, I asked myself, like, did that really happen or it didn't really happen? I was like, for me, it was a real thing because
Yeah.
all the emotions were real. You know, it's just like I was able to predict the future. And I was like, I'm preventing it, you know?
That's
so
huge.
from that point on, that's where my 30s was like, you know what? I want to have a baby with her. I want to marry her. How can I do it? You know? And I was like, I'm not about to lose her.
Yep.
I got to make this shit work.
I love that, dude.
And that's where my back was all the time. I got to make this shit work. I got to make this shit work. I can't see her with somebody else. I love my kid. I want to, you know, and I want to be a really good example that you could do this. And that's how I got the name Speedy of my fast results. Fast. My first year, 8 properties, rental properties. You know, and I was doing shit. I was just learning in class. And my gullible ass, I'm thinking everybody doing it. I'm like, oh, this is easy. Everybody doing it, right? No one never did a seller finance. No one never did a subject to. No one ever did a rent to own, lease option. And I'm like, I did all of this just to acquire these 8 properties. And I'm thinking like everybody did it across the board. Nah, I didn't realize how hard it was. You know, so I was like, man, I'm just knocking it out because of my gullibleness. You know, my just being in my own world.
That's
like
the
I'm
thing,
not,
man. That is such a superpower, though, that people don't
is.
see, and you didn't see it at the
No.
time. You know, I say it all the time. Like a lot of things that I got into for the first time, the reason I was successful, just like you, is yes, number one, speed to make decisions,
Yeah.
and call it gullible or whatever you want to call it, naive.
Look at when I first met you and Cynthia.
You don't know.
Like for me,
know.
I'm oh my God, I want to meet you forever. You know what I mean? Like I'm that guy. I don't care how much money I was like, oh my God, like I'm a fan. You know what I mean? Like it's the truth. That's just how I am. And I think it displays across the board of why I got the name Speedy for speed. And then David Tran blessed me with the name Radiant because I guess no matter what's going on, I always try to see there's a brighter side to it. And I always start by just saying, hey, yeah, I fucking woke up. I think it's a blessing to be able to wake up because I was thinking of vampires, right? I was like, damn, once they take their heart, poof, they're done. I was like, that sucks. You know what I mean? And I was like, but
you're like, I've been stabbed a million times.
But then
already.
I was like, humans aren't any different. You know, I was like, we're as sensitive. And then it made me think of our structure and how perfect we are and how one little thing could really mess us up. 1 degree off in our body tech. So it just made me like little thinking like that made me value being present so much more. And it transferred over to family and stuff like that, you know? So yeah, a lot of that in that 30s, you know, that first year really made this happen for me.
So 8 properties in the first year. And was that out of those 8 properties, you were also wholesaling as well?
Yeah.
So
but
how many
I would
houses
say no.
do you think you wholesale?
I focus more on getting the portfolio.
Okay, got it.
And that was where my problem was because, you know, when you're around your community proximity, what you see them doing, you naturally want to do.
Of course.
So because I was around a bunch of people that were building a portfolio, picking up rentals, it made me naturally want to do it, which I shouldn't have done because those 8 properties I lost the next year. I would say going into year 3, right?
What happened?
Reason why is because David Tran asked me a question and he was like, Sean, you have 8 properties now. Nice. And then he was like, how much money you have in your bank account? And I was just like, you know what I mean? And then it made me, that question really opened my eyes because I was like, is my life really changing? I was like, I got into this to change my life. I'm still in the hood. Really can't give money to my girlfriend. You know what I mean? So it's just like, what am I really doing? Am I doing something just to do it because everybody else is doing it?
Yep.
Right? So I was like, I am. I started to be more truthfulness with myself. Like, go back to why you did this, to change your fucking life. I let go. And look, I had saved up from the cash flow. It wasn't much, $200, $300, $150. One door went in one house. It was like $800 to repair. And I'm like, man, that's all my cash flow.
Goes that cash
and I was
flow,
like,
yep.
You know what? And then I just started to say, I was like, that cash flow wasn't going to change my life either, though.
Yep.
So I started to let go of all of those and restart over. Right? I was like, you know what? This isn't a failure. It's a lesson. I was like, I got all those properties. I can do it anytime. Whenever I want, I'll get those again. Because I got all that shit with no money, no credit.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? Right now, finances. I was like, I need hardcore money. So that's why I started to come up with result driven. I think I didn't copy that off of Tiffany and Josh High, because they do
That's right.
result
Yeah, yeah,
driven.
yeah.
Result driven for me was compounding of results eventually gets to the money. You know what I mean? So I started to look at wholesale and was like, I need a result, me to sell a result, you know, co- lock up a GC appointment result just with one file, compound so many results that the money will be there.
Yeah.
And then that's when Jason, I think at some point moved to Florida, retired, and that's when David Tran kind of took me in as a student. Kind of found me in the streets. He was like, come here, Sean. He was like, get your ass over here. I'm like, yes, save me.
Teach me the
Yeah,
way.
and then he started to really instill in me on how to maximize wholesale deals.
Okay.
And
Generating cash.
yep, and it was a trust thing because normally when a wholesaler locks it up, they're on a 30-day crunch.
Mhm.
So you kind of want to flip it flat. But because I kind of like learned, like when I learned with Jason, it was all, I would like to say, luck and magic. My luck and magic of just putting out whatever and it coming back. I'm like, oh, I'm so lucky. No skill. When I got with David is when he started to train me in skill. You know what I mean? And then this is where I learned how to maximize dispositions. I never said this publicly. I'm gonna say this shit now because I always want a fucking outlet to give the truth. And like today, like I see people making 6 figures in commercial stuff. Today, I make 6 figures in residential.
Love that.
And I don't share it. But that's how strong my belief is of what you can make in residential.
Yeah.
And it was all off of a simple belief that why do people think you have to give the seller what they're asking? If it don't make sense, it don't make sense. I said, I believe I deserve what I negotiate. That's my belief,
Yep.
Full integrity.
Yep.
And I never lie.
That makes everything so much easier, by the way.
And truthfully, I used to lie a lot. Before Dave was with me, even with Jason, I would lie to the sellers because I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
I did a lot of lying until Dave taught me. I was like, you could be truthful,
Yep.
Like even today, people was like, Sean, how do you get your deals and stuff? I was like, well, I'm a realtor, right? So when I get referrals, a lot of people give me things and stuff like that. I always try to give my clients the most, as a realtor, always fiduciary duties or whatever.
Yep.
Right. I always do that. But in the scenario, I walk into something that is like, oh shit, you need an investor. I give them that option.
That's right.
Like, hey,
That's
do
right.
you want, to sell this house, investor would most likely have to come in. I give them that option. Do you want to go this way? If you want to list it, we can.
Yep.
I was like, there's no guarantees.
Yep.
I didn't have a lot of that education growing up. A lot of my people didn't. Understanding on paperwork, if you have immigrant parents and then speak English, as we grow up and learn English, like, hey, I need you to translate this. I need you to get on. We were the ones doing it, right? And that lack of education was across the board everywhere. I see it to this day.
Yeah.
Realtors don't know title work. I see it to this day. They still don't know how to read the HUD. Wholesalers,
it's wild, man.
All of the contracts, paperwork, people don't actually take the time to read, but I did, and from doing that, Dave taught me how to speak with integrity, how to give homeowners the possible to list or to go with an investment. And I would tell them the truth. I was like, hey, this needs an investor to come in. And because I am an investor, all the math at 65%. And I said, if we're taught that as a rule of thumb, I already know what everybody's going to offer at that 65. Once you get the ARV, I would just give the seller that option. And I said, hey, this is where their offer is going to come in. And and educate them like, hey, is it fair that if somebody's coming in, spending the time to manage, to game plan, to execute, to pay others, contract, isn't it fair that they make a profit?
Yep.
Right. If for them to make a profit, they got to buy it at
so
this.
Many sellers are conditioned improperly by HGTV and shit.
Yep.
And they look at the surface level numbers. They're like, oh, well, you bought this house from me for $200,000. And I figure you probably put $50,000 into it and you sold it for $300,000. You made $50,000. It's like, no, those numbers, I'm terrible at mental math. But I'm losing money on that project, guaranteed,
And a lot of people don't take the time to sit and educate somebody on that. I will. Because they already view me as a realtor. Let me just provide that service. I learned that people trust labels, realtor, lawyer, doctor. So it's just like, let me just be what you're most comfortable with. And here's the information, receive it.
Yep.
And then you let me know what option you want to take, And I tell them the truth. I was like, hey, look, in this scenario, I can push this out to my buyer pool of investors that may like this.
Yep.
And I said, hey, you don't have to worry about commission or nothing. Is it cool if they compensate me?
Yep.
You're cool with that? Whatever it is. And they said, yeah, Sean, as long as you get me this, I'm fine. Get your money.
Yep.
And they're like, I hope you get the most. I'm like, for real? And that's where it means the most to me, is because I'm helping them get what they want, and they wish that I get more. Like I'm deserving of it, And I think that's huge. The best things. And that's how I do all of my transactions,
It's the best, man.
So with title, I get to, direct and control it a little bit to educate everybody what's going on, and that's how I kind of like get all my wholesale nowadays, either listed or, hey, I'll connect you with an investor, and he'll compensate me, save your money.
Dude, we don't even list stuff. And still one of the first thing that comes out of our sales team's mouth on a conversation with a seller is, hey, if you're looking for top dollar, why don't you go list it with an agent?
Mm-hmm.
That's not even us. We're not even saying that we'll list it for you. Why don't you go do that?
Yeah.
Because that's not really what we're looking for, right? That's not.
I'll always give everybody the option to, in their best interest. Why don't you rent it out?
Yeah.
Hey, why don't you?
I'll help you out. I'll
do
give
the
you all
renovations, and it only needs 20, and then cash flow. Sean, I don't want to deal, and that's the truth. And that's where I think people need to realize, hey, there are some people that just don't want to do it.
That's right.
It's not their thing to do. You know what I mean? Like I tell my wife all the time, I was like, I just don't like to wash dishes. I just hate it. It's just not, it's your house too. I just don't like it. Like, and I always say, you're not a green thumb person. You don't like to weed and plant. I accept that, so.
100%.
But yeah, that's how I kind of like do my transactions today. And I love it because, it's all with integrity, and I think that's what I try to relay to my team the most is we don't got to lie.
Yeah.
Give them the right options, and let's serve them. If we serve them, there will be a reward at the end, if you serve them correctly.
That's right.
So
that's right. A lot of people hate wholesalers though.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think it's because they lie.
Yeah.
And then also lack of communication. People don't know how to.
Which is borderline same family as lying.
It's not a practice, and I say it a lot where in school we're not taught how to communicate.
Dude. Totally true.
And I think that's the biggest aspect. It's just conversation.
Yeah.
Like even Leo, when he cold calls and stuff, I'm like, Leo, why you sound like that? Like a robot and shit. I like, just talk to them. You know what I mean? I was like, don't lie. And I was like, where'd you get your leads? I got it. No, we got it from City of Philadelphia. It's public. I got a real video of us doing this exercise. Where'd you get your
play?
Oh, how'd you get my number? Like 5-6 rotations of him just being true. I just tell the truth. Oh, I got it from City of Philadelphia. It's public records.
Yeah.
That's it. People can't knock that.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So for me, telling the truth, I love integrity and being truthful. It makes maneuvering so much better.
It really does. And me learning that same thing through years of, training salespeople, sales teams and everything. It's transformed the way that I do train a new salesperson. It's like I used to have everything super well documented, systems, processes, onboarding. We had straight up 80 hours worth of onboarding videos when somebody came on. And a lot of that was to your point about kind of sounding robotic with saying certain scripts and everything. And it worked, right? I onboarded a lot of people. A lot of people brought in a lot of deals. We had a lot of success. But as I evolved as a leader, I realized that a lot of the things that I was training on could basically be condensed and simplified dude, be you.
Yeah.
Be you. Here's the script. I don't want you to read the script word for word because we don't want to sound like a robot. I want you to understand the framework, right? That's it. Then from there, be you.
Yeah.
And you're going to be different than I am. And he's going to be different than the next person.
Yep.
That's fine.
Add
That's
your flavor.
Good. Be you.
Yep. Have flavor, right? Have fun. And I think that's the most important thing. Have fun. If you're not having fun, it's going to come across that you're robotic. You're just greedy.
Solve the problem that exists. Yep. Yep.
And I tell them, I was like,
100%.
hey, you're not here to convince them to sell. You're just here to, if they want to sell,
That's right.
you know? But
That's right.
I wanted to touch base with Steve Lloyd, you know, because I forgot to mention what he did for me. So he walked up frustrated, came back, and then I was sharing with him, and he was like, yo, Sean, this and that. And he was like, and I said, why me? You know, I don't know, why me? And then he was like, why not you? And then I just woke up. I was like, yo, why not me? Why am I pushing all of these blessings that is wanted for me or is there for me? You know, and everybody's saying it. My community wants me to get involved. You know, they want me to be more active as a leader and stuff. And, you know, when he said it with authority, I just thought what I was doing. I was like, Steve, can I have a hug? Give me a hug, man. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I think that was like 3-4 years ago. And I just want to say to him, like today, you know, I'm definitely in that state still of I want everything. You know, I want a yacht. I want the Lambos. I want all inclusive trips for my entire. I want it all. You know, because I think we are deserving of it. And like I said, if this is what really helps people, you know, showing them that this is possible, I'm gonna do that shit. You know, so
That's
that's where
huge.
I'm at right now. You know, it's just like, hey, the next coming years, you guys are gonna see me play. You know,
That's huge.
have a lot of fun too. You know, and I think that's the most important thing is having fun.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
and
really easy to burn out, right?
Mhm.
Like when the only thing that you're focused on is that finish line, it is that yacht or it
Yeah.
is that mega mansion or whatever. It's like, you know that it's going to take a lot of grind, hustle, and shit
Mhm.
to get there, man. You're going to get kicked in the teeth a lot.
Yeah.
So if all that you care about is the finish line and not the process, bro, you're going to burn out.
Yeah, you
Like
are.
I love the process,
Yeah.
man. It sounds weird, but it's like sometimes I even love getting kicked in the fucking teeth,
Same.
right?
Like you're
Don't
in
get
the
me wrong,
journey.
it
It's
sucks,
true.
you know,
I
but
watched
I
this
can
video of
still be
Kobe,
appreciative.
right? Somebody sent me something of Kobe and said, Kobe said, when you're there at the end, you're not going to be appreciative of that. You appreciate the journey getting there. That's the game.
Yeah.
You know, so I realized, man, I fucking love this game. This is it. We're in it, you
Yep.
know? And yeah, it's gonna be amazing next couple of years, brother.
So what's next for you?
Right now, you're focusing on software, I'm focusing on team, you know,
Mm,
so I'm big on people. I know that there's a lot to make in real estate and enough to go around. So for me, I never wanted 100%. You know, like all the rentals I have now is 50-50 with somebody. You know, I like that having less, like I just do my part. People.
yeah.
That's it. Like I was away last week for a week and Leo did everything for me, you know? And I'm big on team because it's like, hey, like I said, it's enough to go around, enough money. I really love giving people money. I say to myself where I was like, I should be the one to make all the money. Why? Because I have a lot of humility and love to give it out. Like wholeheartedly. Not and you ever get paid? I'm like, here, man. Like the fuck? Like this is this supposed to be mine or is it really yours?
Yeah.
I like because
Yep.
if it's mine, act like it. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
for me, I always like to pay people with that radiance. Like, yo, here you go. That's yours. That's yours. You know. So that's where I'm at, building my team to do their part because I want to do really just fatherhood. You know.
Okay.
That's my big thing is just having fun with my tribe. So that's what I promote stuff. Tribe with good vibes, and my tribe is everybody on my team that chooses to work with me. You know, when people look at us, like, I want to be part of that. I was like, it's your choice. It's not my choice to
Yep.
make. For me, it's open doors. If you have a wholesale and you choose to sell to my pool buyer, you're choosing to work with me. You're part of the tribe.
Yep.
You know, and for me, I try to create. I would say this is Dave's vision to create a community where it's pure love, abundance. We're here together. We help each other out. We do our part. You know, we do one thing. That's it. When people ask me like, "Hey, how much does this cost to renovate?" I was like, I don't know. I'm gonna be truthful. I don't know. I don't swing a hammer. Look at my hands. It's too nice for that shit. You know what I mean? But that's where my truth comes in. Like, but what I could do is bring my team in. Are you okay with that?
That's right.
You know, and let them do their part and let them be the professional about it. You know, because I can't do everything. Like you said, you'll get burnt out.
Yep.
So for me, it's just spreading the results and making people's dream come true. It's not what I thought it was is not what it really is. It's just the people you choose to have in your life and you guys go do things together and have fun doing it. You know, it doesn't have to be miserable with a lot of
It
money.
doesn't?
It doesn't. Nah,
doesn't?
not when you do it together, you know? So
But so like to clarify with the team and everything, are you focused on in general just acquisitions and then decide whether you want to wholesale it, flip it, rent it,
Yep.
or is there
Mhm.
like a dialed in focus to one of the
yeah, right
methods?
now, like I'm not going ham at having like 5, 6 or none at a time. I would say maybe 2, 3 max, but
2, 3 like renovations at a time, you mean?
I would say deals
Deals.
in limbo,
Okay.
you know?
Gotcha.
And from that, decide what I want to do with it, whether it's flip it, wholesale it, or rental. I kind of let the numbers decide, but essentially, right now, our first option is always to wholesale it. Always to wholesale it. Yep.
Love
It
it.
got to be a grand slam like deal for us to not want to do it, you know?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, to do it. So, like, we're beating ourselves in the back, like me and Dave now, because we had this deal in Burlington, New Jersey. We made 90 grand on the wholesale, but we could have made 170 total. You know
90
what I mean?
grand on a assignment is
I
pretty
know.
sexy though. So
But 170 would have been, but then it would have required us doing a flip.
right.
But that right
Risk
there,
reward.
it gave us, it showed me like, because we didn't, we started with a flip, but then because it brought on some hurdles, our emotions got involved. Like, I don't want to learn that. I don't want to deal with it. So then we was like, let's just sell it, you know?
Yep.
But then it's hard as like the moment we make a decision, we push forward no matter what.
Yep.
No matter what, you know? I like that one a lot because Stan is it Stan from Jersey? Stan Wilder.
Stan Wilder. Yeah.
He wanted to buy that one too.
Oh,
So it's
yeah?
a fun story for us. I was like, hey, you should have paid full asking, bro.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
there it
Like,
is,
shit,
right?
it could have been yours. Yeah.
That's funny, man.
But yeah, that's all I'm doing now. Is just focus on, X amount of wholesales a month, but still team building.
I
you
love
know?
it.
Because I want to replace myself,
Mhm.
and I don't know when it's gonna happen though. Like at one point, I wanted to train students too. I had like 5 paying me monthly to just coach them on wholesaling, but then it's just like, I don't want to take y'all money. You're not even fucking doing nothing.
Yeah.
Here's
Yeah.
your money back. I train you for free. In the scenario, you do something, and that's what I learned is just like, I don't want to choose no more. I'd rather people choose me.
That's right.
And then I could just, hey, you're chosen. Come in. You want to learn?
That's
Do
exactly
it,
what I
do
was
it,
saying
do it.
earlier. It's
Yep.
like you can't be the one
To pick.
trying to help and give information. Somebody has to come to you and
Yep.
they have to be desiring that information, that
Yep.
knowledge, that wisdom. Yep.
The only thing I could do for them is just share my experiences of what got me in that mindset.
Yeah.
Like my wife, I only had a year to do it, so it's just like, hey, put yourself in the back, up against a board and something and really say something to yourself.
Yep.
To really make this happen.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, now I see like after, like I tell sellers, I don't need 6 months. Give me 3 months to try to list and sell this. If I can't, then whatever, take it back. You know what I mean? And I say 3 months because give me time for it to sit, maybe 2 weeks, 30 days, 30 to 45 days to close it. That's
Yep.
that 60, 90 days right there. You know what I mean? That's all it is.
Yep.
So I say the same thing with people that want to do this. Like you kind of know 3 to 6 months what their focus is.
Yep. Totally agree.
And it ain't a bad thing. It's like, hey, their focus might be on totally something else, and you may not know.
Yep.
But it's up to them to kind of like I did it in 90 days, so I know it's doable. I seen people do it in a month,
Mhm.
so I know it's real. It's just entirely up to their focus and what they're thinking all day.
Absolutely right. But now what I will say is having brought in a lot of different salespeople to my company over the years, a lot of that speed of someone on your sales team getting their first deal does come from belief of not you accomplishing it, because it's like, that's almost, it doesn't even matter. Like
No.
you're the owner, so it's not relatable, it's totally different. But having a track record for them to see of someone else that came in that was just like you, had no knowledge in real estate, had no knowledge in sales, had no knowledge in anything about this at all, and they brought in a deal in 2 weeks, it's possible.
Yep. And
It's
that's what did it
possible.
for
It's
me.
that 4-minute mile thing,
Yep.
right?
Well, at my first meeting with Hone and stuff, that's what did it for me. A girl, her name is Jessica Roberts, good friend of mine now, love her to death. She went up there and said, I used to work at Lord & Taylor's, made a wholesale of 18 grand, changed my life, and now I'm doing a flip and I'm about to bank 50 because the buyer's already in place. And I was like, If you could do it, I could do that.
Yup.
And then after that, my guy Malik Boyd, he was a UPS driver. And he was like, yeah, I got, wholesale. I've done wholesales. Now I do holds. And I was like, man, if you could do it, I could do it. And that's what I kept saying. And that's why I realized people lost touch with is that thought of if you could do it, I could do it. And I was like, when was the last time an adult really said that? Probably when they were hanging out with their friends, playing basketball, trying to do a miracle shot, right? And then the moment it happens, 4 minutes, if you could do it, I could do it.
Yep.
And I started to tell people, I was like, you need to find that shit again.
Dude, 100%.
If you could do it,
that's one of the greatest things about, the group that you're talking about. I've been in mastermind groups. I've spent a ridiculous amount of money on my own education and coaching and mentors and masterminds over the years. But back to my point earlier about like the productive way of hacking your own ego is you get into a group of other real estate investors, other business professionals from around the country that are like the elite. These are like the top of the top. And I'm around them and I'm like low man on the totem pole. But I see that I'm having a conversation with this other guy and it's like, he's just a human too. And he's doing this. He's got a team of 50 people. He's doing 15 million a year. I can do that too.
That's all. It's a human aspect that's real. Like I was at an event last month. I met this guy, right? And he was like, I've been away from real estate. I had rentals, sold them, but now I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm like, oh, what are you trying to figure out? You know what I mean? Just hop back in. What do you want to do? Go talk to people, see what they're doing. And he's just in this funk. Like through the event, I think he came back to me 3 times. Like, so what'd you figure out? What'd you get? You know what I mean? And then little did I not know, right? He owns like 7-Elevens, Dunkin' Donuts, has like a few Airbnbs. I'm like, holy shit, and it's just like, and he was talking to me like he need help. You know what I mean? Like, shit, help me. But it just goes to show like, hey, we're all human. We go through that same funk. It's not exactly what you think of being high and mighty. That's right. That people display, So for me, when I realized that, I've got more comfortable around people of that caliber when you hear their accolades of, I've done 100 million deals or I'm a broker and this and that. To me, I realized, cool. Let's be friends.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's right.
We're still human, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Can I enjoy what you enjoy?
Yep.
So everybody goes through that struggle of not really knowing or trying to figure it out,
Dude, absolutely right.
Yeah.
What are you seeing changes in the market?
Well, I know that big change in NAR happened, right? August 17th. If you guys don't know, they're saying that your buyer, your client who's a buyer will have to compensate their own agent now. So it's a lot potentially, right? So it's a lot of like documents going out for that and putting a lot of education out in like brokerages. Even my own, I've sat in a few. I've watched EXP put this information out, on their Zoom, recorded Zoom. And I was like, wow, even the leaders, the brokers are giving their own opinion over another opinion. Like, oh, that's another conversation. Kind of like, my opinion is this. Oh, well, I think this. And I'm like,
there's
man,
a lot of room for interpretation on
things.
Then
it just showed me, I was like, man, everybody trying to figure this out and maneuver around it. So I was like, because of this big change, I feel like it's going to drop a lot of people too, who may not do it right, make the mistake or have to put in that extra effort that they don't want to do and frustrate them, a lot of emotions and stuff. But I think that's like one of the biggest things that I'm taking in right now is what the conversation is going to be like going forward. Like I already actually talked to a few of my buyers that I have now. I'm like, hey, I just want to let you know that they're making this change. You may have to compensate me. I was like, but I want to let you know, I am learning new techniques to see how we can go around this, because if you do have to compensate me, shouldn't lenders have to take this into consideration on the loans and all that stuff? But I did say, you know what, we can always make the offer where, hey, contingent upon seller compensating. You know what I mean? So it's still all negotiable, and I think that's where it may go over people's heads that, hey, this new rule change, we have to abide by it. No, it's still all negotiable where, hey, for me, I took it as not much is going to change. We're still going to keep it the same where sellers compensate, you know what I mean? To keep the flow going, only an educated seller like, hey, I'm only compensating you. Make sure to buy, you know what I mean? Like investors like us, we're like, hey, new rule, compensate yourself, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But like on average, the people that sell one or twice in their life, it may not even affect them like that.
Or it wipes them out entirely.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Yep,
and
yep.
because they just don't want to adapt. They don't look, the reality is most people hate change. Most
Yeah.
people are scared to death of change.
Yeah.
And right now, I don't think just the NAR lawsuit and everything. It's like there are so many changes happening right now. Again, not just in the world of real estate,
Yeah.
but economically and globally, like a lot of changes are happening right now. And that scares the shit out of a lot of people. But what change also represents is massive opportunity, right? You have to be willing to pivot. You have to be willing to adapt. You have to be willing to trudge through some shit, you know? There's going to be uncertainty. There's going to be mistakes that you make along the way.
And I think a good example of that just passed this COVID. It showed everybody like, hey, it was a tough time, but it was a lot of opportunity for new things to happen, you know? And those that took advantage thrived, you know? And I think, like you said, we're in that state now, you know? So I love it when changes like this happen because it shows who's going to be able to adapt and thrive through it, you know? So I welcome change all the time, you know?
That's good. That's good. That's huge.
I can maneuver around it really well.
And especially another beneficial part of that is when you have a smaller company, a smaller team, you're more nimble, right? You're able to react to changes a lot better than a company that has 100 employees, right? They got SOPs, they got processes, they got HR.
Opinions.
They have to train their fucking HR department on how to navigate the legality of this thing that just rolled out. And then we're going to be in trainings and meetings for the next 2 months. You, me, it's like we make a phone call to our main guy and we're like, yo, tomorrow we're doing this. Boom, done, click. Let's do the next deal, you know?
Yeah. And my focus now is more introducing my realtor side. I haven't done that in a while, but I'm trying to replace myself on the wholesaling side, you know, like have Leo present and stuff like that. So I could be more broader in business now. And I think with the realtor hat, people are more welcoming of it. So I'm just kind of flowing with what people accept more from my past experiences.
I feel like I'm getting a little joy out of the NAR lawsuit and everything because for however many years I've been running a wholesale company, 5 years, 6 years, we've been the lowest of the low. We are the shittiest people on the face of the earth, right? But now with the NAR lawsuit, it's like everybody hates realtors so much right now that I'm like, welcome to my world, you know? Welcome to my world. Everybody hates us and they think that we do nothing. They think that all that you do as an agent is unlock doors and take pictures of your property and put it on the MLS. There's a little bit more than that.
Yeah, way more. Way more. It's true.
There are those very few transactions where everything goes perfectly smooth and you do basically nothing on. But man, out of hundreds of deals that I've done, I can count those on one hand, you know?
Yeah, same, bro. It is a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It
can be, for sure.
Well, listen, I think you have an incredible story and Radiant is the perfect nickname for you.
Thanks, brother.
I appreciate having you on and you sharing your story and some wisdom and things that you learned along the way. I think this is going to be impactful for a lot of people.
Thanks, man. Thank you for having me. It's been real fun. I don't do these as much often as I should. You know, I always try to focus on just making the money, you know, and enjoying myself. But it's, you know, 50 Cent just had a moment with Tyler Perry, right? Where he said, man, Tyler Perry, he just showed me stuff and I'm putting in work now, you know? And it was him touring him of his movie studio. And 50 Cent now is opening up his own, in Shreveport, Louisiana, his own like studio as well, like recording space for artists, like a whole compound, I guess you would say. I feel the same way right now, you know, being able to walk your space and seeing what you've built, you know, I admire it a lot, bro. It's definitely goals. Because I love having like my own space too, like man cave kind of workspace for my team, a centralized location where focus. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. Thank you, man.
Look, dude, here's the reality, you know, like especially with the the personality that you have, and you have a positive message and you're doing the right things, there is nothing better that you can do than be as open with what you're doing and share that message with as many people as humanly possible. And there's no better way to do that than what we're doing right here. It's like you're sharing your story and being the true you, you know, cutting through the facade of the bullshit that you see on a lot of people's highlight reel. It's like, this is you. This is how you became the man that you are today. This is some of the stuff that you've done that has worked, and you shared some of your failures too. It's like, there is nothing better than sharing that with people that then become your tribe, right?
Yeah, so something happened to me, I would say early on that made, I would say, transform me to be very open and giving. There was this investor, you know, from the club, Renatus, and in the club, asked me, call me, open doors, you know? And then I remember one time we were at the title company, and he was having a settlement, and I was just asking about it. And he was just like, Sean, you're asking me too many questions. And I was just like, the fuck? You told me I could.
Yeah.
You know, I like all these emotions. I just walked away like
questions.
with my head down, like, man, why you brush me off? I'm really trying to learn. I'm not here to hurt you or nothing. So and then that right there motivated me, and it popped up a question that changed my life, right? And it was, you know what? How do I get information without asking somebody now? It was a very powerful question. I was like, Sean, how do you learn people's transactions without talking to them? And I was like, I don't really, you know what I mean? One day I was sitting at the title company, and you know, she said you had to leave. I was like, I'm about to interview somebody. I was like, interview somebody? I'm like, I'll work for you. I just threw it out. I'll work for you, you know, nonchalantly. And then afterwards, like, she was like, well, send me your resume, this and that. And I was like, okay. But then when I went home, I was like, what the hell did I just do? I was like, I was just trying to get myself
I just signed myself up for,
Right. I was like, oh, man, I didn't want no job. But then I was like, fuck it. I'm going to just go. I was like, something that it was like the answer to my question, right? So I ended up getting a job like in year 2 of my experience. And it was the best decision I ever made, because it went beyond just answering that question. It taught me how to really get answers. And then now when people ask me things, I just tell them straight up, here, this is exactly it. Nothing else but this.
Yep.
You know, don't even beat around the bush. You know, I wanted to give people what I wasn't given, you know, and I remember trying to identify private and hard money, the difference, right? My first month. And I could not address what the difference was. Google, what is hard money? Google, what is private money? And I couldn't. And I was like, I spent 2 weeks on just learning that. But when I learned it, I'm like, I feel like this must have been like
so simple. How did I
like
miss
this? The exit or entrance? And I'm like, oh my God. But then because of that, I realized how not so easy it is for other people.
Yeah.
So for me, I was like, I'm going to be that person where if you come to me with a question, here's the straightforwardest answer you can ever have. Here's a straightforward document that you can ever have.
Yep.
You know, I was like, if you need education, just say so. I know you don't understand it. You know, I didn't either.
AI is making it easier now than ever, man.
Yeah.
Like, I frame my questions to ChatGPT all the time. I'll start off my question as, explain this to me in as few words as possible and make it so a 5th grader could understand it. And yeah, I don't care, man. No shame in my game, you know?
Yeah.
But I also find that understanding something at a fundamental level, not just like the surface level, is one of the things that I'm really good at, because it takes me a lot longer to understand how something works. To your point about difference between private money, hard money. It's like somebody could explain that, you know, surface level to somebody, maybe other than you, that explained it, you know, and they understand it. They think at a surface level, right? But I like to go as deep as humanly possible and like dissect, so I understand the inner workings and mechanics of something, you know? And then it's like, once I know that, now you can deconstruct anything, and I could you know,
run around all the detail. I'm the same way. Like, I learned that there is surface level stuff. But then there's so much detail to just that aspect.
There are
same thing with wholesaling.
Man.
We could say
everything.
Contract, find a buyer, sell it. You know, but there's so much detail.
So much
to everything. So that's where I tell people, I was like, hey, there is a lot more to it, but you got to take the time to learn it. You know, this is just the top of the surface stuff. To get to the finish line, A lot of
Yeah,
little micro.
we can summarize everything, brother, right? It's
Everything.
like, oh, business is simple. All you got to do
Nah.
is buy low and sell high. Boom, done.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, you know, a little bit more to it than that.
I wish.
But yeah.
It sounds like
if
there's a
only.
pool of buyers that buy high. Where they at? You know?
Yep. If only, man.
But yeah, Drew, man, yo, thank you
This
for
has
this
been
immersion,
fantastic,
bro.
man.
I
Yeah,
love it. I
appreciate
love
you.
it, man.
But where can people find you if they want to maybe join your team or do a deal with you?
So you could I best get people through my social media because I
Okay.
share a lot. So Instagram is at Sean SEAN .real estate. Straightforward. I share a lot of real estate, family, and fitness. Just to clean it up. That's what you
Okay.
get from it. And Facebook is Sean Sun, SEAN, last name Sun. And you get a little bit of the same thing.
I love it.
I don't clutter my feeds with, like other hobbies. Like I have a car page, for me building cars, but I don't try to intertwine it,
Okay.
So I love that if you guys go to Instagram because you kind of get a feel for me right away. And that's what I tell everybody. Like, just go through my Instagram and make a decision if you want to work with me or not.
Listen, brother, I think anybody that made it this far in the conversation, they already resonate with you.
I appreciate that, man.
That's awesome, man. I'm so grateful that you came on today and
Me too.
everything. And
Me too.
I'm excited to see what comes next for you, brother.
Thanks, bro.
Next time
hey,
we're
are
gonna
the
have to
doors
have you
open?
back, and doors are open, man.
You heard that, Leo.
Doors are open.
What are you doing here, Sean? The door was open.
The door was open.
Just playing golf. Leo actually said he wanted to put that there.
Yeah, we got golf, but we do some fun stuff.
Nice, bro. Yeah, I think you hold meetings, right?
We do.
Monthly?
We haven't done it because of the summer. Like the last two that we were supposed to have, I was away for both of them. So we'll probably kick it back off again in the winter or something.
I'll tell my team. We'll stop in.
I appreciate it, brother.
Yep.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Boom.